What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut EP by Jhene Aiko. Basically this project is called Sail Out and it came out in the fall of 2013. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that this is a pretty boisterous type EP to kind of get here. Just every song on this particular product hits like a ton of bricks as far as this pitch can happen. Big deal around the time. Jhene Aiko had been in kind of transit with trying to get like careers going as far as this pitch can happen since like the early 2000s. Some good type flair for that, but she particularly dropped a mixtape in 2011 called Sailing Souls. Good type flair. I remember that briefly, like minor pitches behind that one. Back in the early years of Acid Roots, I messed with her a lot more than I did nowadays. I just kind of took like a pretty decent break as far as this pitch can happen. I do remember Sold Out from 2014. Did listen to that a few times back in 2014, 2015, 2016, but it's been a while. There is a review of like the collaboration album she did with Big Sean, which is called 2088, and I want to say that there was like a sequel to that as well, but I reviewed the one from 2016 back in around late 2016, early 2017 or so. So this has been the pitch behind it, but yeah, she's pretty emphatic type R&B songstress as far as this pitch can happen. Kind of seems like nowadays she doesn't get the same appeal or flair that she had back in like the early mid 2010s, but she was definitely like one of the next ones to blow up in like the early 2010s as far as this pitch can happen. Kind of one of the ones responsible for ushering in kind of like the R&B streaming type era as far as those fairs can happen between folks like The Weeknd, Drake, Frank Ocean, and like Tinashe, some of those type folks that I'd say just a good concept. This very ambient kind of looming, just kind of more in like a watery kind of fluid type aspect just within the tone. It's kind of in a more watery type wafting type aspect as far as this pitch can happen. Just a lot more just the ambience behind it is just a little bit more cool type personality. But she has similarities to Tupac, I feel like, within a sense, that same kind of summer basking within the pitch, even though this is the thing I like about Jhene Aiko on this particular product is just the fact that this has some dramatic type flair. There's like a song she did with Drake, which I forget the name of that one, but it was on Nothing Was the Same, and she had like a very piercing kind of dramatic type pitch on that particular song. Very standout, one of the standout songs off of Nothing Was the Same. That was an excellent album, but definitely her song there was very excellent. She has that same sort of dramatic kind of piercing appeal on this particular product. Just a lot of just kind of like contemplative type fare that just has the aspect of just having a little bit more kind of just busybody type living within the pitch behind it, as if feathers are ruffled with kind of flames as far as this pitch can happen. But it's just a good type tone for having that aspect of just kind of the spice of things, just not quite as like straight laced as far as this pitch can happen. Just a little bit more, just kind of has like a more edgy type format despite being a relatively calmer type tune. And on top of that, Jhene Aiko smokes good type pitch, kind of get some of that type flair. So a lot of this is pretty good ambience to kind of have. It's like the after hours songs like 3:16 a.m. and the Kendrick Lamar songs, some of those type pitches, and WTH Way Too High, some of those type ones on there that just have the after effects of this. Smoking with Bellas at like 2 o'clock in the morning, some of those type flair, just after moments like the pitch of darkness and just autumn, winter, and even summer type vibes, spring type vibes within the pitch behind it. I'd have to say within the tone, just some good type flair. Definitely a classic EP, I'd have to say, in particular this excellent type fare. I wound up recommending all 7 songs on here just to be able to say that just from the pitch. It's got to the 3rd single, which typically EPs do not get to 3 singles as far as this pitch can happen. So there's kind of more heraldment. There's definitely a lot of esteem about this project for like being one of the next to blow up in terms of R&B around the time. It really had some of that type of appeal behind it. I think apart from like The Weeknd and then maybe like The Weeknd and Tinashe in certain senses, I'd say she was definitely one of the ones that was probably going to be one of the next big things in R&B. But it was kind of here and there. I mean, when we're talking like 2014, 2015, 2016, Jhene Aiko was kind of around, but by the time we got to like the late 2010s, early 2020s, she had kind of been replaced with differential type folks, and I'm not really sure full blown. I need to start messing with a lot more R&B. I've been kind of touching base with some of this type of stuff, paying attention to like the Tinashe mixtapes and the Weeknd mixtapes and some of these type of ones, Frank Ocean mixtapes, some of that typeness from like the 2010 to 2014 type era. But once we start getting past like 2016, 2017, I don't know as many of these full blown. Like there's some ones in there like Brent Faiyaz, one of those type folks. Some of those type folks I don't really know as full blown. There's just a bunch of these folks that have been kind of popping up. There's like, obviously like Party Next Door. I remember his album from 2014, but I don't remember too many full blown things past like a certain pitch. I know there's like a Jacquees cat that was around in like the late 2010s, but it's just kind of the pitch behind it. But Jhene Aiko definitely has some classic stuff here, and from what I remember, Sold Out from 2014, which was her debut album, was pretty excellent as well. So it's a good type pitch. But yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about the 3 singles here. here. Just to be able to say this album gets a 10 out of 10 because I recommend all 7 songs, but 3:16 a.m. is a nice one. It's like a spacey kind of rosy rumination, kind of get within that tone. Just some vivid melodies on here. Good night shift R&B activity kind of have. Also good for like some venue noise. It's kind of within the pitch if venues are kind of playing more R&B. This is a good type one to kind of get just some of that just kind of thumping bravado on here. First verse is a little bit more melodic and a little bit more stream-like, but the second verse kind of has a little bit more of just like looming kind of venue noise. It's kind of like Florence and the Machine, but just with like a more R&B pitch towards it. Definitely a good song to smoke a joint and just have some white noise on as far as those pitches can have, whether it's just the television, sports game, news, something like that. Just good type for to have some white noise, just kind of kick back and just smoke a joint, something like that. Just get some snacks, nachos, some of that type fare, I'd have to say. I like a lot of the productions on this particular album. It's just the pitch. Some of these, like Way Too High, is a real excellent type one. There's another one like the Kendrick Lamar song Stay Ready, What a Life's a real nice one. Bed Piece is like some real good summer afternoon type vibes. There's just some real excellent ones on here that really suit this type of appeal of the project. A lot of good choices for this. But speaking of Bed Piece, that's like the second single, good type tone for this. And there are some guests on here. Vince Staples, Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul are all on here. The second single, Bed Piece, has Childish Gambino on here. Just to say, Bed Piece is like some afternoon kind of wake up, I'd have to say. Just kind of lunch for breakfast type fare as far as those pitches can happen. Waking up 1:30, 2:30 in the afternoon, I'd have to say. Definitely some good summer frolic. Get some sunshine and just some glazed sauntering it's going to have within that pitch. Just kind of almost kind of beachside type, hotel type music just within the flair. Just waking up to like the sunshine in your eyes, some pitches like that. Just getting some good snacks, going out in like the relative afternoon, just type haze as far as those pitches can happen with it. Just good type flair for that. But a lot of this particular stuff is pretty ambient. So if you're expecting, like, Jhene Aiko does not really have like twerk songs on this particular product. Not to say there's any problem with that, but it's just kind of the pitch that there's not going to be like a dance smash on here or something within that relative type of feel. It's just the concept. Bed Piece is kind of the concept of just waking up, just kind of being more robe type music and just possibly swim trunks or boxers. There's possibly like swim trunks or boxers as far as those pitches kind of happen just within the fare behind it. Just some basic kind of relative, just sedate type tone within the pitch, but it is like some good, just kind of snackage type tone as far as those pitches can have, and just good type appeal for it. So it's just a nice one, just a nice summer brush, I'd have to say. And then The Worst is a nice song. This is a nice single here just within the pitch. This takes it back to the 90s. It's like a dramatic kind of vintage 90s R&B contemplation, I'd have to say here. Nice piano beat on here as far as those pitches can happen. Reminds of like Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, some of those type folks, other folks like that. Can't think of them as full blown. Maybe Maya, can't really think as full blown about them, but TLC, some of those type folks. It's like some day after hours kind of thoughts to kind of get here. I would definitely feel like probably more of like 4:30, 5:15 p.m. pitches like that. This is like some good makeshift comedy to kind of get here. So this is the highest charting song off this particular EP. The other singles were kind of more buzz type singles, but it's just within the pitch behind it. This was kind of a big deal back in early 2014. This was the spillover from like the previous year when this came out in the fall of 2013. This is one that crested into the first half of 2014. That kind of was like the conduit of building up the bridge to like her 2014 album. Just some good type of appeal, similar to how Tinashe blew up in like late 2013. Just in the pitch behind it, some good type of appeals for that. It's a good concept of getting like this makeshift type tune. I mean, I don't like this would seemingly be one of Jhene Aiko's more signature songs, but she definitely has a lot better ones than this. It's not to say that this is a bad song, but this is just like the most crafted towards makeshift kind of commerce and pitches like that. This would be like your Tuesday, this kind of simmering Tuesday evening, simmering kind of Wednesday evening type fare, just like the concept of this, the dredge and the stretchers as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just some nice R&B snap to kind of get within that. Good type tone. But yeah, just to be able to say, I recommend every song on here. So this EP gets a 10 out of 10 just within the flair. So a lot of these just have some vicious type of appeal. And this is a pretty popular project too, according to Spotify. Like the Kendrick Lamar song has over 280 million plays on Spotify. There's some ones on here like The Worst has over 300 million plays. So the 3 singles plus the Kendrick song plus Ab-Soul is a good wingman of Kendrick. So it's just some good type tones on here that have a lot of that appeal. But definitely probably one of my more favorite songs on here would be WTH, Way Too High. It's like a real floaty kind of get hella torched kind of zone out ambience kind of have off this one. This is good for some smoke divas as far as this pitch kind of happens. Some chicas that are kind of more smoke bound pitches like that. This is definitely some good kickback, I'd have to say here, and some great white noise to kind of have within that ambience behind it. It's some good type fare. One of those after products that just like what I was talking about, just like the true stretchers of like classic kind of or initial kind of Spotify streaming type highlights to kind of get within the after hours of just like some good type fare in like the night commerce. Good type 1. Great belly production on that particular song. Absol's great on that song as far as this pitch can happen. Stay Ready, What a Life with Kendrick. Stay Ready, What a Life with Kendrick Lamar is a nice one as well. It's like some jazzy kind of commercial R&B I would definitely feel like here. Stay Ready, What a Life is like a jazzy kind of commercial R&B grab I'd have to say. Just some silky kind of venue haze I would definitely feel like here. Pretty similar to Tinashe once again. It's like a good neo R&B type hit. So it's just good concept. This is probably the second most commercial song on here. I'd have to say, at least in terms of like the most affable radio ready type stuff. It's kind of surprising that this was not chosen as a single. This would have been a good look for not just Jhene Aiko but for Kendrick. It's a good look for Jhene Aiko just because she was able to nab Kendrick post like his Good Kid Mad City days, and it's a good look for Kendrick because this is like his off year as far as after coming off like a hit album that almost won album of the year and rap album of the year as far as this pitch kind of happens. So it's a good type tone. Real nice initial kind of kickoff of one that just is another one that kind of felt like some trendy kind of R&B to like the early 2010s. This is the pitch kind of being like a streaming highlight, but also having that commercial type appeal, like a good bop, just for like relative haze type commerce within the pitch, probably like the evening, just late day type fare. Goes great with the worst. I'd say a good 1-2 punch for like Tuesday commerce pitches like that, or just some after moments. It's a good type appeal. Kendrick has a pretty fiery verse on here, which is pretty typical, I'd have to say, so it's good type fare for that. The Vapors is a nice one as well. It's like a wheezing kind of R&B gauze to kind of get here. Just some sifting kind of streaming ambience. Definitely I would feel like good trailblaze gem like a lot of this project. I'd have to say in particular just a fierce mood. I definitely would say fierce mood set to kind of get within this pitch, and pretty comfy overall song. So it's just within the flair behind it. I feel like, Jhene Aiko definitely has a personality to carry this particular product. She's not a pushover. She's not just trite or just kind of limp with her vocals and just overall tone that she sets on the product. So it's just type of appeal that she has personality to be able to say that this is kind of the quality, despite that this is her first product, it's just kind of the tone that it's an engaging listen. It's just kind of, it feels like this album is very affable just within the pitch, despite the fact that it was kind of in like a new era and stuff just within the pitch. It didn't sound like, the Usher, it didn't sound like Usher or T-Pain or Trey Songz, folks like that. This is kind of some new stuff that kind of was in mind as far as this pitch can happen, but it nailed the particular vibe about doing it. So it's a good type tone for that. Just real strengthy type moodiness and like an ambient type sense. And then Comfort in Ending freestyle is like a nice one as well. It's like a stock fierce kind of night shift R&B brooding to definitely get within that tone. I do like the dramatic kind of, I do like the contemplative type feel of this, like a dramatic kind of downtime about this particular song. Just the after moments of probably like midnight, 1 o'clock, just kind of standard type fare, just like standard kind of argument, just after hours kind of toxicity as far as those pitches going to happen, just some demon time basking and kind of get here, just in the tone, just being at Comfort in places like that, just after effects of like the night engagement, just some of those products, just gas station runs, pitches like that, just amongst the nightlife, going to casinos, some of that type flair, night venues, pitches like that, just kind of the ambience, just, I do question what Jhene Aiko would have been like if she would have had like a more dance groove type song. I don't know if that's really like her forte or her niche just within those tones, but this is kind of the product that just kind of like the after effects of this more kind of convo and like a more brooding type sense, more so than the full blown kind of spice of just amongst like the conduct of just like the Friday Fury. But it's a good type tone for that. It's kind of that's that good flair about it just in the pitch. That's some good flair. So I like the ambience about it. So that's the tone behind this particular project. Just kind of a new spin, kind of some new for the early 2010s. Just a trendy type spin as far as those pitch kind of happened. Just some great streaming type music and some good ambient type highlights to kind of get. Definitely smokish type fare, white noise type fare, basking and just kickback pitches like that. I had to say just some good comfort type music just with the tone behind it. Just the good aspect behind that. This EP score gets a 10 out of 10. The social score, that's kind of tricky. I look after, for the most part, me recommending every song, you'd think within the pitch behind it. These makeshift songs, like I feel like the worst in the Kendrick song are probably the most commercial on here, and this is some trendy type stuff that tried some new styles and worked with it. Definitely initiated some of those sounds. Spotify obviously was a big deal. Pitches like that. There's some great songs on here. Smoking ambience is very has that coolie kind of steely type personality that works real well. It's this good pitch behind that. But it just makes me question about the snap of maybe questioning what sort of song would have been something to have seen if Jhene Aiko could have had like a dance type song. That's the only pitch behind it, but I don't know. I think within the pitch is just kind of like, whether or not you would want like a song, like if you would want like a drill song from Snoop Dogg kind of complain about Snoop Dogg. It's kind of like complaining about Snoop Dogg not doing like a drill song. It just may not be his necessary forte. It's kind of the same thing with Jhene Aiko, I'd say. So I mean, the quality is definitely on here, but if you are wanting something furious, it's not really within the aspect behind it. So I just would say probably, I guess we'll say like a 9.75 social just within the pitch behind it. It has the ambience behind it, real good fun vibes just in the pitch, like some after moments, definite just hotel type music after moments of this gas station runs, some commerce pitches like that, smoke type vibes, just hangout type flair just within us, plush type sense just in the after moments, just some good type flair. Definitely some night product and some good summery type moments as well as the product of it, but not as fiercely electric, but it's just within the tone that it is trendy. So it's just within the pitch. So 9.75. In terms of the future, like Jhene Aiko, I checked to see what she had been up to. At least she dropped the project in 2020. Supposedly she put out like a compilation project in late 2024 with some pitches like that, but it seems like it's been a while since she's dropped an album. And she's a pretty piercing artist, just to say. Has some great melodies on here. She really nails her projects from at least the three that I remember. I remember Sold Out also from 2014 and a little bit of her 2011 mixtape, but those particular projects were pretty fiery. But I don't know, it just kind of feels like she got hamwitched and kind of pigeonholed out of the spotlight and those sorts of pitches, which is, she's still relatively, seems like she should still have some more fire enough to be able to put out some more hits, even if like her prime years might be over. But some good type flair to kind of get some of these to get like a second win, something like that, because she is a compelling, definitely an engaging artist that had like this classic EP here that did a lot.